Innovation in personal mobility advances freedom and empowers people. The automotive industry has always been the core innovator of individual mobility. There's never been a more exciting time to be part of the transformative forces driving our industry. The possibilities for human transportation and our environment are imminent and real. The technological promise of a cleaner, safer future is in our grasp. Innovations that are transforming personal mobility in ways that most people are only beginning to imagine are happening and accelerating every day, both inside and outside our industry. The promise of future mobility isn't owned or driven by any one sector or company. It'll be, as it always has been, an extraordinary collaboration between industries, tech leaders, government, and the individual consumer. Our challenge is to ensure we keep moving forward together as swiftly as we can, as each innovation combines with others to remake personal mobility. Our job is to tell the story of how this innovation is happening, faster than most realize, and to ensure we are collaborating across our society to grasp the possibilities and pave the way for our automotive future.
Welcome to Transforming Mobility, the Auto Innovators Summit. I'm John Bozzella, President and CEO of the Alliance for Automotive Innovation, the unified voice of the automotive industry. We represent manufacturers producing nearly 99% of cars and light trucks sold in the United States, as well as major automotive suppliers, tech companies, and new entrants to the personal mobility space. All told, 10 million Americans living in every state rely on the jobs we provide to put food on their tables and a roof over their heads. And that gives us an immense responsibility. Today, those of us who work in the auto industry are at the epicenter of sweeping changes transforming the products and services we make and sell, how we make them, and the very nature of our business. Zero carbon electrified propulsion, automation and connectivity, and changing use and ownership models are tectonic shifts. Separately, each of these revolutions is driving hundreds of billions of dollars of capital investment. Each is changing business models, and each promises cleaner or safer or smarter personal transportation. Taken together, these transformations will likely reinforce and accelerate each other, creating a new 50-year industry cycle of disruption, dematurity, and reinvention. Our industry is at the center of forces and factors that are reshaping geopolitics. Governments worldwide see the auto industry as an essential strategic asset. They're pursuing national and regional strategies to establish leadership, secure the intellectual property and know-how to gain a competitive advantage. The winners of this global competition will draw the supply lines, set the running rules, and define and possibly dominate the international marketplace. During the next 2 days, we're going to discuss in depth the forces at work within and upon our industry, what our industry is doing to shape and respond to them, and their implications for the economic security of the world's industrial democracies. Today in the US, demand for cars and light trucks is strong, and yet the industry will miss the opportunity to sell 3 million vehicles to customers this year alone due to supply issues, primarily a severe shortage of auto-grade computer chips. Some plants are idled. Dealer inventory is historically low. The auto chip shortage is partly a result of COVID, but over the mid to long term, the increasing technology in advanced vehicles will drive significant increased demand for semiconductors. The challenges across the chip supply chain could foretell problems with automotive supply chains going forward, particularly the minerals, processing, and production required for electrified vehicles. As we speak, the shift to electrification is already underway. Systems and technologies that are making driving more automated and safer are being tested and entering the market. In all of these ventures, there is great opportunity and there are great stakes. And it's all taking place against a backdrop of uncertainty. Is the world retrenching from global trade? Will we be able to obtain critical minerals, either domestically or from stable and safe international sources? How will we navigate political polarization, turmoil, and dysfunction here in the U.S. and around the world? Will COVID continue to bedevil economic recovery and global supply chains? Will we heed the calls for equity, inclusion, and diversity in our public and private institutions? The auto industry will play a vital role in addressing all of these questions. Our industry's success has never been so closely tied to engagement and cooperation across sectors of the economy and across governments. Fortunately, many policymakers recognize the strategic economic imperative of a vibrant automotive industry. They're asking what can be done to help support private investment to achieve our goals. To build robust consumer demand for electrified vehicles, we will need a charging infrastructure, clean sources of electricity, access to minerals and mineral processing, and more. Automated and connected vehicles will need sensors and more semiconductors. And highly automated vehicles will need a new national regulatory framework for their safe testing and deployment on public roads. We will need resilient and reliable supply chains to support development in markets here in the U.S. so that American workers and the communities in which they work, as well as consumers across the country in every community, benefit. We're going to continue to set ambitious goals for ourselves. We're fully committed to taking on climate change by building zero-emission vehicles. And we've embraced the goal of making our fleet 50% electric by 2030. We're incubating technologies that could someday virtually eliminate crashes. And we're developing the systems and networks to combat congestion and expand access to personal mobility in life-changing ways. We've developed and promoted principles to protect the privacy of people who drive our products and principles to monitor drivers to make sure they understand how to use driver assistance features properly. We've presented longer-term roadmaps to reduce crashes with a new approach to safety regulation. We've offered our innovation agenda to guide policymakers as we try to deliver the benefits of life-saving and clean technologies to the public. The last 20 months have proven that the auto industry is at the forefront of innovation and change, and that the sector remains tremendously resilient. When the pandemic cut sales in half and stopped auto production completely for the first time since World War II, our engineers and manufacturing experts quickly turned to designing and producing devices and equipment to protect the public and treat the pandemic's victims. We are one of the nation's most consequential industries, not just as an economic engine and bellwether, but as employers, investors, teachers, innovators, and an engine for opportunity and social mobility. But this summit is not about the last 20 months. It's about the next 20 months and the next 20 years. We've convened this summit because our future depends on stakeholders, policymakers, the tech and energy industries, builders and consumers, dealers, and the aftermarket, all driving toward the same destination. During the next 2 days, we're going to hear from elected officials, cabinet members, government regulators, policy experts, market analysts, advocates, and auto industry leaders. We'll look at how factors from market forces to government actions are helping or hurting the transformation. And we'll examine how key players can collaborate to meet our goals together. Here's what we'll explore in depth: what we need to do to successfully deploy automated vehicles, what it will take to increase electrified vehicle sales from today's 3% to the 50% that we all want to reach by the end of this decade, how to maintain resilient supply chains for electrified and automated vehicles, what we can do to build consumer confidence and awareness of advanced safety technologies and driver assistance and monitoring systems, how we can reimagine motor vehicle safety regulations to support future innovation. We hope the discussions of the next 2 days will help set the agenda for the industry's future, a future built on a strong foundation, a future that leads to a new era of American ingenuity and economic opportunity. I've been in this industry for 25 years, and I've never seen a moment of such promise, excitement, and urgency. We want our discussions during this summit to be frank and open. We're going to hear a diversity of opinions, and we may hear some things that may spark disagreements. But we've got to have this dialogue. We've set our sights on solving some big problems. We're transforming the way the world drives, and there's room on the road for everyone. Thank you for joining us and taking part in the discussion and debate that will continue to transform personal mobility. Join our discussion online at autos2050.com or use our Twitter hashtags Autos2050 and Future of Mobility.